seriously jeopardizing the weather forecasting that we all count on. Funds have been frozen, grants and contracts have been abruptly canceled.
20 million. We did draw it down before the date it was due, and we have the funding for the tech hubs,
We need an answer that everybody understands is critical.
which are the people who study the
But you
water.
you eliminated the Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. That is what I'm precisely asking you. No one has declared this unconstitutional. No one. Your job, Mr. Secretary, is to carry out the law that Congress has passed. You don't get to keep...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, your home for the truth, common sense, and real American values. If you're tired of the mainstream narrative, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more no-nonsense commentary every week. Today, we're diving into a recent Senate hearing that's making the rounds. Senator Patty Murray absolutely grilling Secretary Lutnick about NOAA, trade, digital equity programs, and a whole laundry list of so-called cuts. Well, folks, I watched the whole thing, and let me tell you, the disconnect between Washington, D.C. and a real America is on full display. Let's break it down point by point. And as always, I'll give you my honest, patriotic take because I know you're not getting that anywhere else.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. You know, over the last few months, I am deeply concerned because we have seen mass firings at NOAA that are really seriously jeopardizing the weather forecasting that we all count on. Funds have been frozen, grants and contracts have been abruptly canceled, and agencies that were created by Congress in a bipartisan way have been shuttered unilaterally, really ignoring the law and sweeping thoughtful tariffs that are crunching small businesses and raising costs for our families. And we have seen President Trump illegally block some emergency funding House Republicans included in their year-long CR, which has cut off funding your department counts on for trade fairness, export controls, NOAA satellites, and more. So needless to say, I don't think any of this helps advance the department's mission to spur economic growth and strengthen America's competitiveness, and it does leave me very seriously concerned about whether the department is going to be able to carry out its job. Now, before I turn to my questions, I do want to quickly raise your decision to cancel $48 million in tech hub funding for the American Aerospace Materials Manufacturing Center in eastern Washington and Idaho, alongside several other hubs. We've had a chance to talk about this yesterday, but I want you to know I have a lot more questions than I think you answered. This hub is really a partnership of industry, academia, military, governments at all levels. Canceling that funding and further delaying progress at the tech hub really damages our defense industrial base and limits our ability to compete with China, as I told you yesterday. So that is unacceptable, and I look forward to you resolving that as soon as possible.
Okay, we have not canceled anything. And just to let you know, I do have, since we discussed it yesterday, I do have the $220 million. We did draw it down before the date it was due, and we have the funding for the tech hubs. We are going to fund the tech hubs.
Okay,
I have the funding, the 220, right? And the additional 280 comes when there's a forward auction. But I have the money. We will fund them. I'm not canceling them. I just need to make sure they do the benefit of the bargain.
I appreciate that. And as I said yesterday, we need an answer that everybody understands is critical. Now, I do want to ask you while you're here, one of the agencies that you oversee is NOAA. It is absolutely essential to supporting sustainable fisheries, protecting our natural resources, and making sure that we have accurate weather forecasts. Cutting away at NOAA, as you've been doing, and as your budget proposes to do further, is going to do serious harm. Among other cuts, your budget would completely eliminate the Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. That would be catastrophic failure. It would abandon our communities, our tribes, our industries who rely on salmon. And across the Pacific Northwest, salmon are not just fish. They are a way of life, and they are foundational to our economy and our culture. So I would like you to explain quickly why you proposed that cut, and I want to ask you, did you consult with our tribes or fishing communities who count on it before making that decision?
The issues are that we do the same thing in multiple ways in NOAA. We have not cut any hydrologists which are the people who study the
But
the
you
water.
you eliminated the Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. That is what I'm precisely asking you about.
Well, I think
Did you talk to our tribes or our fishermen before you did that?
Of course.
Well, I have spoken to the tribes. I've talked to the scientists. I've talked to the fishermen. No one in the Pacific Northwest supports those cuts. And I want everyone to know I will not vote for an appropriations committee or appropriations bill that eliminates that funding. Now, staying on NOAA, facilities like the Northwest Fisheries Science Center, which is in Seattle, are really in dire need of investment. For this reason, this CGS Appropriations Committee has long included language requiring the Secretary of Commerce to include the cost estimates for NOAA construction projects of more than $5 million in the congressional budget justification materials, as well as the 5-year cost estimates for those projects. Are you aware of that requirement?
My understanding is we filed our budget according to the CR with exact precision.
Well, have you submitted the department's FY26 congressional budget justification? It did not include the list of projects.
My
Which is
understanding is
required to do.
the CR had certain obligations for us, and we followed them with precision. That's
Well,
my understanding.
The fact is that you are required by law to submit the NOAA PAC construction list to Congress with the budget. That wasn't done. Can we get that list by Friday?
I'll happily take a look at it, and if it's required, of course, I will send it in.
Okay, it is required. Mr. Secretary, I wrote a law, it was called the Digital Equity Act, to help close the digital divide, and it passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. Now, the administration has arbitrarily canceled billions of dollars for the Digital Equity Act, claiming it's unconstitutional. This is a program that every state, Democrat and Republican, has applied for, every single state in the country. It distributes laptops in Iowa. It helped people get back online after Hurricane Helene washed away computers and phones in western North Carolina. It's a program in rural Alabama where they taught seniors, including some who've never used a computer, how to use the internet. I wanted to ask you, has the Supreme Court declared this bipartisan law unconstitutional? Has any judge?
It'll go through the courts, and the courts will decide.
No one has declared this unconstitutional. No one. Your job, Mr. Secretary, is to carry out the law that Congress has passed. You don't get to keep laptops from our kids because the president doesn't care about rural communities, kids in rural communities. My advice to you here, it is a law. It is not unconstitutional. And I would urge you to get those digital equity dollars out the door and save everyone the legal fees because the law is very clear.
I hear you.
Okay. I just have a few seconds left, and before I finish, I do want to underscore my state, Washington State, is one of the most trade-dependent states in the nation. 40% of our jobs are connected to international trade, and President Trump and your department continue to pursue this chaotic tariff policy that business in my state stand to lose billions of dollars. I have heard from businesses across my state, from manufacturers, from small retailers. They are struggling to absorb the cost increases on everything from napkins to car parts. And this uncertainty has really left them scrambling, which has delayed investments and caused serious supply chain disruptions, especially at our ports. These actions, in addition, have really harmed our relationships with our key allies like Canada. Heard Senator Collins here earlier talking about Maine's being their neighbor. It is our neighbor in Washington State. They are one of our biggest trading partners. And let me be clear, this is causing chaos, disruption, anger, and we have got to get this resolved because farmers, or our people and our small businesses and our communities are really hurting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
First off, Murray claims there have been mass firings at NOAA and that we're jeopardizing weather forecasting and scientific research. Let's get real here. Government agencies like NOAA have ballooned for years, bloated budgets, endless staffing, and overlapping programs. Is anyone actually measuring the return on investment? Or are we just supposed to keep throwing money at these agencies forever, no questions asked? Secretary Lutnick pushes back. He says, "We have not canceled anything." And you know what? That's the reality. There's a difference between streamlining and gutting. Conservatives believe in responsible spending, not endless bureaucracy. If there are redundancies, if there's waste, it's about time someone had the guts to make tough decisions and cut the fat. I don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I also don't want my tax dollars wasted on government bloat. That's not jeopardizing America. It's saving it from fiscal disaster. Next, Murray accuses the administration of canceling $48 million in funding for an aerospace tech hub in Washington and Idaho. But Lutnick says flat out, no, we didn't cancel anything. The money's there, the process is happening. This is classic D.C. political theater, folks. Dems love to cry wolf on cuts that haven't even happened. Why? Because it keeps the fear-mongering narrative alive. But here's my question. Why should taxpayers in Texas, Florida, or Ohio foot the bill for every pet project in blue states? If these tech hubs are so critical, let's see real, measurable outcomes, not just vague promises about competing with China. Let's see private industry step up too, not just depend on handouts. Now, Senator Murray throws a fit over the elimination of the Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. She calls it catastrophic, says it's the foundation of the Northwest economy and culture. Look, I respect local traditions and industries. But how long do we keep funding the same program with the same results? At what point does it become a permanent government dependency? We need local solutions, not endless federal bailouts. If the salmon are truly critical, states can step in. Tribes can step in. Private foundations can step in. Not everything requires a federal fix from D.C. And as for consultation, Lutnick says they talked to the tribes. Murray says nobody supports the cuts. Well, you can always find someone who wants more taxpayer money. That's not a good reason to keep shoveling it out. Murray then gets hung up on paperwork, demanding NOAA submit a construction project list to Congress. This is exactly what's wrong with government. Endless bureaucracy, endless red tape, endless reports that sit on shelves. Secretary Lutnick says they follow the law with precision. Let's focus on outcomes, not box checking. If the agency is following the law, great. If not, let's fix it. But let's not pretend more paperwork is going to fix salmon runs or boost the economy. Now, here's where Murray really shows her true colors. She's furious that the administration put a hold on Digital Equity Act funding, claiming it's unconstitutional. Let's be honest, this is another massive, open-ended spending program that Congress rammed through under the guise of equity. And suddenly, when the administration does its job and questions the constitutionality, the left wants to throw a fit. Who decides what's constitutional? The courts. Not one senator from Washington. Not one bureaucrat. If this program is legal, let the courts decide. That's how America works. And for all the talk about laptops for kids, let's remember, local schools and communities should drive digital education, not a federal slush fund ripe for abuse and waste. Then she complains about tariffs, how Washington state is trade dependent, and tariffs are chaotic and harmful. Let's get one thing straight. Tariffs are a negotiating tool. For decades, American workers got sold out by globalists in both parties. Our manufacturing base shipped overseas, our jobs disappeared, and our competitors like China laughed all the way to the bank. President Trump and the America First movement actually stood up for American workers. Are some businesses feeling the pain? Sure, but it's about time we stopped putting foreign interests and multinational corporations ahead of Main Street USA. And all this talk about damaging relationships with Canada, give me a break. Canada needs us a lot more than we need them. Strong borders, fair trade, and American jobs come first. That's not isolationism, that's patriotism. So what's the bottom line? What we saw in this hearing is classic big government, big spending, blame America first politics from the left. Senator Murray wants endless programs, endless spending, endless bureaucracy, no accountability, no tough decisions, just more of your money going out the door. Secretary Lutnick and the America First movement are trying to bring some sanity back. Responsible spending, constitutional government, putting American workers and families first. That's what this country needs. Not more D.C. handouts, not more red tape, and not more whining from career politicians who've never balanced a budget in their lives. If you agree, hit that like button. Share this video with your friends and family. Let's push back against the big government machine and take our country back, one common sense decision at a time. America is worth fighting for, and I'm not backing down. See you next time.